Okay, so welcome to the Career Clarity podcast. Today we have someone very special who has chalked out his career in the social impact space. We have Ankit Bansal today on our podcast. Ankit is Associate Director at iDream Career. He's handling strategic partnership and growth at iDream Career. He leads the social impact vertical there. Ankit has done his BTech in computer science. He has also done young leadership program from IIM Bangalore in 2018-19. Apart from that, Ankit also carries certification from Harris School of Public Policy, University of Chicago. Ankit has been Teach for India Fellow from 2015 to 17. Ankit has worked for organizations like Infosys, Youth for Jobs. Ankit also was a co-founder of Chalti Firti Classes, which was a startup venture which he ran, and we will be discussing about all these things in the podcast from 2015 to 19. Ankit has served as a mentor leader for CMO Delhi, that is Chief Minister's Office Delhi. Uh, the reason I have requested Ankit to come to this podcast because I have seen his journey of growth. He has grown his career very fast in the social impact space in the last 8 years. And definitely, today's podcast is going to help anyone who wants to create a career in social impact space, but don't have a lot of clarity how to do that or how to chalk out that path, right? So without any further ado, let me welcome Ankit for your time, and thank you very much for joining today's podcast.
Hi, Samridha. Thank you so much for inviting me to this podcast. Hopefully, I will do justice for your time and the time of the audience.
Thank you. So Ankit, let's start this. Your journey has been fascinating, right? I would request you to give a brief background about yourself so that the audience can know about you.
All right. So now that they already know that I am Ankit, working with iDream Career as an associate director of strategic partnerships and growth. Right. So basically, uh, I will just try to form a chronological order of my journey starting from college. So
Right,
I was like started and teaching has been something which is deep rooted. Education has been which is deep rooted, right? So my mother has been an educator, right? Just to add and give you a little background of how education sometimes parents' profession or their qualifications sometimes influence their children, right? So that influence has been there in my life as well. So I joined. I went to Kota to prepare for JEE exam, like a lot of students are going there, and I realized that something very wrong which is happening in the whole education space, especially for class 11 and 12, right? But that was one of the thoughts when I was experiencing that, and I thought that whenever I will get a chance, I will teach for 2 years. So that was something that came in mind for of a class 12 student when he was preparing and going through the struggles and trying to understand what is wrong with the education system, right? So
right,
as luck might have it, I got admission into a college in Noida, which is JP Institute of Information Technology. I enrolled in computer science and engineering and started my education over there. Again, I mean, one of the challenges which I see in the whole education space is the teaching methodologies, the way they are teaching, right, and also not able to make a lot of connect with between the education and the practicality of that education, right? I mean, writing a bunch of code how it is solving the world, right? Different challenges in the world. While there can be two things, right? While I might be unaware, or the system was not able to educate me about the same, right? But this has happened and I completed my BTech. That's the time when I got exposure to a lot of different activities I keep on doing during my college days. One of them was providing tuitions to the students. Another one was actively participating in a lot of social and cultural activities within the college, right? And that's where I got exposure to Teach for India, right, as a fellowship, and I applied there. I got selected in 2014. That's the year when I was completing my college. But I also realized that since I have spent 4 years in completing a degree, right, which I also feel that is a good degree. I learned a lot of problem solving skills over there. So I
right.
thought of let me give it a try and join an organization. Luckily for me, I got recruited in at Infosys. Right, I went to the Mysore campus. I thoroughly and that's where I realized that I thoroughly enjoyed the learning and training that was delivered at Infosys, right? I almost secured an A plus grade during the training programs and got allocated my favorite location as Bangalore, and started getting a project with one of the clients which was based out of Westboro and Miami, right? So
Okay,
everything was going well, and but one constant change, one constant thing that I was not able to understand, that how my core line of course is able to solve a problem. So I was not able to make a connect. And where I realized that a lot of people, especially freshers who are joining, they feel, struggle to feel the connect between, how things are shaping up initially, or what they are doing, how what kind of impact it can create. And especially for freshers, there's a challenge because they don't have a view. Luckily,
Absolutely. Yeah.
luckily for me, I had a very good mentor, right? She was able to educate me. Okay, you know what you are doing, what kind of work that you're doing. Do you know what kind of brands you're associating with? Who are your clients? So she was able to give me a lot of view, right? So I was saying that a lot of freshers, especially youngsters, they were not able to make a connect, right? Especially between the kind of work that they're doing and the impact of their work. So it's very important, as team leaders or middle management, to help them understand the kind of work that they can have and what can be a suitable career pathway, right? So which I feel is really really important, to guide a fresher, right? So that they can sustain a career in a particular field and they can grow themselves, right? Which I think somehow I find it missing, when I was trying to make a career, right? And one thing that I also realized that everybody's just going about packages rather than perhaps they were thinking more. They have a little more. They have a little better understanding about the work that they are doing than me. So that might also be the case. So so
Okay.
right. So that is one of the areas which I felt very disconnected about, right? So with that constant nudge, okay, I want to teach, let me teach, right, and let me do some social work. I started my journey with Teach for India again. I reapplied for the fellowship, got again selected in 2015, and started working there. So that's where when I entered the classroom, I realized that the problem of education equity is not just about solving problems within the classroom. Social sector, has a lot of challenge. Social sector itself is one of the most demanding sectors. We are trying to work for those who don't even realize that their problem exists. Very few of them will realize that a problem exists, and to solve a problem, perhaps sometimes if you want to increase a student grade in a classroom, you might have to intervene in their home and try to understand that how can a better learning environment can be provided at home, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So a single problem at the outset has a lot of different uh, uh, um, uh, need a lot of interventions, right? For example, Akshay Patra, what Akshay Patra is doing, they started with an idea of providing nutritious food to the students.
Right.
And if you look at their impact metrics, which says the number of students who are attending the school, right?
Yes. Yes.
So indirectly, what they are saying, while we are providing them food, it is ensuring that the students are entering the school, and eventually their learning level will go up because they are in the school, right? And which has
Right.
been one of the challenges, right?
Hmm.
In the government school, especially, sometimes especially females, they act as a second mother to the family, right? They have a responsibility
Right.
of cooking, because now why this problem exists, right? Which is very important to understand. It's not that the parents don't care about their children, right? Every
Yeah.
parents care about their children and they want the best for them. But sometimes certain not having certain facility available for them creates a lot of challenges. So as I'm saying that that this female students especially act as a second mother to the family, and why that happens is not because the parents don't care for their students. Every parent want the best for their children,
Right.
but sometimes the parents are struggling at their personal level.
Hmm.
Now, what are those personal level? Right, there are no social psychological support which is available, right? And there are a lot of anybody can have a lot of support which is required.
Yeah.
There was lack of basic health facilities, for the parents. Now, many a
Yes.
times mothers get sick,
Yeah.
right? And there's not enough financial resources available within the family so that a proper treatment can be provided or proper medicines can be afforded, right? Now I can see a lot of initiatives are coming. For example, Ayushman Bharat or Jan Seva Medical Kendra, Medicine Kendra, where you can get generic medicine at a cheaper cost, and so many other things. Like India is progressing, is what I can say.
Correct.
So gradually, these facilities will be available for many people. Not just trying to take any political side, but I think that these policies have a lot of potential. How it will play out on the ground is a different story altogether, right?
Right. Right.
But the idea is that because they themselves are struggling at many fronts, so how will they support their children? So that's where a lot, especially the eldest one, either it's a boy or a female. Sometimes boys start earning out early because they have to support the family, gain more financial resources, and that's why they drop out of education. And similarly for females, they act as a second mother. Now, as soon as the parents realize that there is food available in the school, at least once they realize that their expenditure towards food for an morning meal or an afternoon meal will be reduced. So they will start sending their children to school, and that's how a lot of increment can, enrollment and attendance can increase in the school system, right?
Yes.
Uh, Now, for example, if I have to solve a problem of uh, uh, anemia among the students, now what government is doing, they are providing iron tablets, especially to girls because they face a lot of issues, right, at a certain age,
Right.
because they hit puberty and then the body changes, then it requires certain nutrition.
Absolutely.
So they are providing medicines to the students when they're in school. So they are not distributing the medicines in the Swasth Kendra, they are distributing the medicines within the school. So that's how the system is intervened. I mean, you are solving uh, a problem of malnutrition in the school, right, and not at a health center. So I mean, which is an amazing part. The polio in the country got, polio virus. India become polio free, right, in the 2022 or 2020, I guess, if I'm not, I might be wrong
Yeah.
in the year, but that's a similar timeline, right? And that could only happen because a lot of teachers, every Saturday, Sunday, they were going out doing a lot of polio abhiyans and providing polio drops. Like we have been a beneficiary of that movement,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
We
And they were not
remember that.
really working.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Samrit, you were saying.
Yeah. Yeah. We definitely remember that. That was a very nice point which you mentioned, Ankit. Like, yeah, we remember that people, these teachers coming to our homes and providing the polio drops, and we have been the beneficiaries of that. Yeah.
So the idea is the what I'm trying to build, especially when anybody's trying to think about making a career in the social sector, don't try to think that a single problem has a direct solution. It might be happening that the problem that you are trying to solve will have to you have to think backwards, try to understand that what can be the system level changes that might be required to solve that problem from the root itself. So if anybody is looking to make a career in the social impact sector, what I always say that you should have a good analytical bent of mind. You should have problem solving skills, because you have to you have to be good in showing the impact that is happening. You should apart and the base major line is that baseline is that you should have a lot of empathy in your heart, because try to understand what goes around in the what is going on the ground. You should have the capacity and the mindset uh, uh, and the heart to go on the ground, get your
Yeah.
hands dirty, get your feet wet. I don't know what a kind of any kind of terminology that you want to say over here,
Yeah. Yeah.
but ensure that you understand the problem well. Right,
Yeah.
today people talk about the design thinking or any other kind of methodology of thinking, but the baseline is that you should be able to uh, 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 skim through all the noises which exist and try to see through the base problem which exists,
Yeah.
then try to understand it how to solve,
Great.
right? I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
one of the things I also started seeing that there are a lot of corporates which do a lot of social work because of their corporate social responsibility.
Right.
Many have started doing because of the mandate, and there were others like Tata who are already doing it because they wanted to do it, right?
Yes. Yes.
And then there are others, right, who are just starting out and they're doing amazing work, right?
Yeah.
So everything is in tandem, right?
Mm.
Uh, uh, so now what many CSRs have started doing, they started supporting government initiatives, right? So, for example, I remember is attending a seminar where Venkaiah Naidu, Shri Venkaiah Naidu, who was the then vice president of the country, he started mentioning about Swachh Bharat, Swachh Abhiyan, and toilets, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and a lot of people were attending that,
Mm.
right? And immediately I see a lot of corporate leaders started, spending money to build toilets for the country.
Yeah.
That has been one of the missions that has been there. So a lot of CSRs also wanted to support
Mm.
government level initiatives. So
Mm.
somebody who is trying to make a career in the social impact space,
Mm.
for them it's important to understand that from a corporate perspective, what is their thinking? Why are they thinking
Mm.
about government priority, right?
Okay.
Uh, uh, so so I think one of the reasons why they're thinking about government priority, because government is already doing a lot of advocacy on the ground for that particular thing. So
Absolutely.
one is that they don't have to spend their resources into advocacy. They
Correct.
are building on something where the government has already created a lot of base. So
Yeah.
the chances of their intervention creating an impact, being sustainable,
Hmm.
being used by being, and driving the intended use of the of
Hmm.
that particular uh, of that particular intervention
Hmm.
are high
Right.
because it's in tandem. They're not doing it in
Yeah.
silo.
Correct. 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 Correct.
And it might happen that, for example, if we take a district of any state, right?
Hmm.
Let's say
Hmm.
Rajasthan or Uttar Pradesh or Delhi or anywhere, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, let's say there can be 10 CSRs who want you to support Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, right?
Hmm.
Now, government will say that, in one of the district we have a support from corporate A, and another district I have a support from corporate B, another district I have a support from corporate C. Now,
Right.
just imagine all the corporates spending 20% of this amount to Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, for example,
Hmm.
and 10 corporates coming together as a collective.
Hmm.
They might not be aware that they are working as a collective. They might be
Right.
focused on a district.
Yeah.
Government were able to bring it as a collective.
Yeah.
Or if not government, then there are government consulting organizations.
Correct.
Tamil Samagra is there, Satva
Hmm.
is there,
Yeah.
CMS is there, which is based out of Bangalore.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, Nudge is doing a wonderful job in
Yeah.
creating a lot of amazing work. Give is there, Give and Nudge, I think, both sister companies.
Correct. Yeah.
There is good era, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So then Dasra is there. So there are other many of Dasra is basically majorly on the corporate and the philanthropy side, right?
Okay.
But a lot of work is going on.
Hmm.
So these organizations bring a lot of players together. Sometimes create help the government because government is definitely busy, right? I Once you go to a department, it's easy to say that the government is not functioning.
Hmm.
It is very easy to say that,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
or it is very easy to say that teachers are not teaching and they're not doing their job, right?
Yes.
While obviously you have to admit that there are black sheep, but you also
Right.
need to understand that there are people who are doing their best with the
Correct.
limitation that they have in the system and
Hmm.
trying to ensure that the machinery is up and running like anything, right?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it's not an easy job. From as
Absolutely.
simple as that, you are getting electricity in your house for 24 hours.
Huh.
There's a team who is working in shifts.
Correct.
Sometimes they are short in staff, or sometimes you need somebody who can take decisions, and the decision
Right.
make
Right.
persons, they are working 24 hours, right? Well,
Correct.
always available call. Similarly, the
Hmm.
water that you're getting in, right?
Hmm.
I mean, a lot of efforts are required to get this done, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So for example, in Gurgaon, one of the initiative which is going is Gurgaon Jal, right, or Jal Gurgaon, something like that, right? And
Hmm.
they're trying to ensure that everybody in the Gurgaon, because Gurgaon, Haryana itself has a shortage of water, right? If you look
Right.
at it,
Right.
so they're trying to ensure ways through which water can be reached out. I don't exactly know about the mission and
Okay.
vision, but
Okay.
I have uh, heard this name of the organization multiple areas when I was, like,
Got.
as and when I keep on reading
Ha. Ha. Ha.
of different things.
Got
So
it.
yeah, I will
Got
take
it.
a pause. I will take a
Yeah.
pause
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
request you to stir the conversation, the direction which will help the audience.
Absolutely. Thank you. I think, but a lot of things, a lot of points you covered during this conversation. I mean, definitely helpful for the students. So one thing which I can understand is that you had a keen eye of looking things at a deeper level from earlier onwards. Is that right to say? Because एक इंसान who is in class 11th 12th went to quota, and then he is able to see there is something which is missing in the education system, right? Normally nowadays students are there, their marks अच्छे लाने हैं, IIT JEE crack करना है, और boards में अच्छे लाने हैं, and the entire mind is stuck into that. Mostly what I'm looking at the students. So taking a pause or maybe taking a step back and trying to analyze the things so analytically from a very young period of time, I mean from the very young age, is that something which was the reason for you to get into a social impact space?
So I mean, I related to this one of the social media pages which was there way back in 2010-14, which is
Acha.
called the Frustrated Indian,
Okay. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So I say that I am one of the frustrated Indians
Okay.
who is frustrated that why there are no buses on time,
Hmm.
or why there is so much garbage around in the on the railway station, right? Or why we can't have trains on time, or why there's no justice system is so inaccessible,
Right.
right? So I think I will say that I'm not sure about analytical skills, but I will say that I like to nag.
Okay.
So and I think a lot of innovations which I have seen, be it any of the organization, right? whether it's for profit or not for profit, right? It arises from a lot of personal experience,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, for example, from Tata, bringing uh, uh, Jaguar to India, I think there has been a
Yeah.
personal experience because there was a time when Tata was trying to build a car and they have a comment that
Yeah.
Tata will be able to make a car. If I'm not wrong, trying if
Yeah.
I'm trying
Yeah.
to if I'm trying to connect the right anecdote, right?
Okay.
I might be wrong over there, but I thought
Okay.
that this was one of the Tata was mocked once when they're trying to
Yes.
make
He.
car,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. That is the narrative, I guess.
right? So and now they were able to bring Jaguar in the country, right? So
Right.
so one of the things that has been there, or perhaps uh, a Flipkart company coming up, or anybody in the logistics which are able to solve it, right?
Yes.
Or any fintech startup which is coming,
Hmm.
right? So a lot of innovation happens when a lot of personal experience is involved.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think my connectivity has always been to education that base.
Okay.
Now it has evolving to looking at a larger picture.
Yeah.
Initially
Yeah.
it was just education, and then trying to see that it is more about let's try to do something better, and now
Got
it's
it.
more about creating a transformational change in the life of the students. So
Great.
education is one
Great.
of the roots.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but any innovation which happens, it happens through a lot of personal experience. My experience has been that why it is that very few are getting the right education, or very few have the access. Because everybody making the equal payment for the services.
Mm-hmm.
So how it can happen that everybody will can get access to an educator which is good, can get access to a facility, while very few might be able to crack a certain entrance exam.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
not necessary for the others
Mm-hmm.
to go down on their confidence, or they
Right.
feel that they are not good enough.
Yeah.
They might not be able to crack an entrance exam, but they are good enough to do a lot of things in their lives, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. 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 So I can see that sense of passion or helping out, and as you mentioned, many people nag, but very few actually work to improve.
Yeah.
Right. So you are one of them, and that's great. So uh, I would like to understand, like, when I look at your career, I was going through your LinkedIn profile. So what I found that it was a very systematic approach which you have chosen. I mean, you have to throw your lights on that. That you chose first, you did your engineering, and then you worked with Infosys for 1 year. Then you did Teach for India, and then you worked with Youth for Jobs, which is, I think, the Asia's largest organization on education and employment for youth with disabilities. Right. You worked with them for almost 2 years, and then uh, you were also running parallelly your startup that was Chalti 50 classes, and then you moved to IDC, that is I Dream Career India, is one of the largest platform which is helping students choose the right career, right? So was this a planned step? Are you a very planned kind of person? That
So
is a
I think I believe in serendipity a lot. For
okay.
those
Okay.
who don't know the terms, like I mean,
Huh.
it's luck by chance. If perhaps I can put it in simple words,
Mhm.
uh, or love by chance, perhaps, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
so everything happened, right? I mean, it's more about experiencing a lot of things and getting access to the right network. I won't say that whether where I am right now is at the best place where I could have been, which is my potential, or
Okay.
I'm actually at a very good place as my potential. Right, that is something that perhaps I might not be able to comment right now. For somebody looking from the outside, might feel that this has been a very planned journey, but to be
Yeah.
honest, it was not. There's a lot
Yeah.
of right, and still there's a lot of uncertainty when you think about how to manage that. There are real life problems coming up. Your parents are
Yeah.
getting old. You think about that, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of things are coming up eventually. When you start your career, and this is the case for anybody, whether they are in a for
Absolutely.
sector or not for profit sector, health, tech, wherever. Right, they
Right.
will have a lot of questions. Right, everybody
Hmm.
will have a lot of questions to answer, and uncertainty when you work. So that
Yeah.
has been the case with me as well. I think what has helped in the whole journey, right, is the fact that I'm never satisfied with what I have, right.
Huh.
Basically, not in terms of that there's a greed, but basically try to understand that if somebody else can do a work, right, or if somebody else can create a kind of impact, what is stopping me to do that? So what will it take me for me to do that, right?
Yes.
So during the fellowship days, I started an initiative called. So I did Infosys, and I thought let me work for 2 years at at a fellowship, not an easy decision. Try to convince the parents, a family, try to justify my choices to a lot of people, right? Yeah, right. Especially the extended family as well. Not that they are just poking, but they are actually concerned at what the child is doing.
Absolutely.
And then again, take it going, joining another organization, which actually happens because a friend referred to me to a particular organization, right? So sometimes your friends play an active role in your career, and that
Yes.
happens through your network, right?
Correct.
Now, how do you meet that friend? I met that friend while I was a fellow Teach for India.
Hmm.
Was that a planned activity? Really not, right?
Okay. Yeah.
In fact, between Youth for Jobs and Teach for India, I joined a school.
Acha. Okay.
It was a short-term assignment, and I realized that my potential is not getting utilized in the schools.
Ha, ha, ha.
It was a private school, right?
Okay.
So I
Okay.
realized that perhaps what I need to give, there's already a lot of things which are available for the students,
Hmm.
and whatever I want to do, perhaps the school system is not allowing me to uh, uh, create the kind of environment, because delta change comes if you want to create a look at the delta change at a larger level. It will come when you are able to provide that kind of a time and have that kind of a patience, right?
Right.
So it's something was missing within the system itself, was which personally I was not satisfied with, because I tried to maneuver my career to the education space,
Hmm.
and I am dissatisfied that way, right? So whenever I'm dissatisfied, there are a lot of things which keep on happening. I keep on exploring.
Hmm.
Books has helped me a lot.
Ha.
So there was a time, especially youth for jobs, because working with disability was a very difficult task, right?
Yeah.
Employment is something which is very low. A lot of, especially corporates, they say that they want to become inclusive. They are trying to a lot of ways to become inclusive, but a lot of things are stopping them to become truly inclusive, and a
Yes.
lot of investment is required, right?
Hmm.
In terms of assistive technologies within the corporates, in terms of work from home policies. I'm a big advocate of work from home, and I will come to that at a later stage.
Okay.
But uh, a lot of policy level changes are required, to ensure that they are inclusive. A lot of discipline is required from the beneficiary side as well, which is also lacking,
Yeah.
right? So everybody has to come together to create that change, and what will happen that once you try to solve a problem statement, right? So, for example, when I joined Teach for India, I have no idea about the education landscape. I had
Okay.
my personal experiences.
Yes.
I have no, I don't have much idea about what exactly how many schools are there in the country, perhaps
Hmm.
how many teachers are there in the country, perhaps what are the key challenges. I never visited a government school prior
Uh-huh.
to the fellowship, right?
Okay.
So just to add,
Yeah.
but what I understand is education. There's something wrong in education fundamentally,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to solve that.
Okay.
So how will we solve that? Which is
Great.
the idea, right?
Nice.
So if you look at the overall journey, that has been unplanned, a lot of uncertainties. Perhaps
Hmm.
what I also feel,
Hmm.
that had career guidance been provided to me when I was at a younger stage,
Haha.
I might choose a similar path which I have choose now, which I have taken now.
Okay. Okay.
Not no difference in the choices,
Hmm.
but uncertainty factor will be less, and
Ha.
one can move forward with a lot of confidence. Okay,
Right.
okay, I know this is what I am doing, and I know that how this activity will impact my career.
Hmm.
When
Hmm.
you're going uncertainties, when you're going around your gut feelings,
Hmm.
sometimes it becomes difficult, to uh, uh, to justify your choices. Forget about anybody else, to yourself also. But
Ha. Ha.
that my gut feeling is saying that I have to do this. I have an intuition around it, but
Hmm.
I cannot justify that intuition to anybody, or perhaps to me as well right now.
Right. Right. Right.
Sometimes you just take that leap of faith and go around,
Correct.
right? So
Correct.
there is a
Correct.
term that I always use, which is called sense of possibility. So I always say
Okay.
that I have very high sense of possibility. So I so if you ask me, can do you think should we jump in the well, or so I will say let's and see if we
Yeah.
can swim it out or not.
Okay. That was nice. That was nice. So, you mentioned about sense of possibility coming in. Uh,
Yeah,
so that to put in a other way, it can be a reflection of your courage as well. Can I say that the courage to take that leap of faith, or a confidence in your own abilities, that yes, if I get into that, I will do that, because many a times that courageous step taking does not come normally when I'm counseling students, or even for us as a professionals also, to take that leap. Lot of we do pros and cons, this and that, and then most of the time people stay stuck, and most of the people in the corporate career, they stay stuck as well, right? So
so I think that's a very interesting question, right? I like, and In the fellowship days, especially teaching days, I was really scared, like, what will happen, what I will do
Yeah.
in the near future, right? Especially when you look at your counterparts, especially your friends who are doing so well in their life,
Yeah.
perhaps started buying a car when you
Yeah.
are just trying to struggle to make ends meet, right?
Correct.
Uh, 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 so which has been one of the challenges, right? To be honest, but what I see that whenever you see realize that you have certain faith in your capabilities,
Yeah.
you know that there's certain support from your family,
Yeah.
which is again a privilege, to be honest, right?
Yes. Hmm.
There are people in the social sector who have a lot of privileges, and there are
Yeah.
others who have little privileges, but they acknowledge their privilege. And most importantly, you understand that how much do you need to survive.
Yes. Yes.
If you know that, perhaps I am okay to not wear a Adidas shoes. I am okay to go to an Bata showroom or an Action showroom and buy a shoe and wear that. And
Yeah.
certain people might feel that that is also a privilege, Ankit. When you're saying
Absolutely. Yeah.
right, when you're saying that you're not buying a Adidas shoes but a Bata shoes, but Bata shoes
Yeah.
is also privilege.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
but when you see your people around you, they're only wearing Adidas shoes or a
Yeah.
Skechers, for example. Right? They're trying to relate.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so there's certain lifestyle when people are accustomed to, right?
Yes. Yes.
And when you understand that perhaps I'm happy to survive in
Hmm.
less.
Hmm.
I can survive in less, right? So
Yeah.
which gives you a lot of freedom, right? And perhaps uh, one of the word which is going around in millennials, especially, right, which are prompting a lot of lifestyle changes,
Hmm.
is frugal. So how can
Frugal.
you be
Yeah.
more frugal? How can you say that less is more?
Yeah.
How can you declutter yourself,
Correct.
declutter your wardrobes, declutter your life, among other things, and have a lot of freedom available to you.
Yes.
Right? So yeah, so I mean, courage. I think that comes from a lot of factors. Risk
Yeah.
taking appetite comes from a lot of factors.
Right.
Somebody who is starting an entrepreneurship journey.
Hmm.
If you look at very successful entrepreneurs in the country right now,
Yeah.
uh, uh, if you try to dissect their life, try to
Hmm.
go a little deeper, you
Yeah.
realize that somewhere down the line they have certain privileges available for them.
Yes.
I remember I worked for an organization called Gyan Sarthi, or some. They were trying to launch a pre-primary school chain
Okay.
in Jaipur.
Hmm.
And they have now maneuvered to a skill development organization in
Okay.
Jaipur.
Hmm.
And one of the guy was I am Ahmedabad pass out.
Acha.
He had an offer from Flipkart at that point in time. Back I'm
Yeah.
talking about 2015, 16.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Across 16 summers,
Hmm.
right? When I did an internship with them.
Yes.
So I was just having a candid conversation with him. One thing I really like about that guy is that he was an avid reader, right? I mean, he perhaps gave me a lot of exposure to education, which I, working with Teach for India, did not had. Obviously, on certain things, right?
Yes.
And certainly,
Yeah.
also I had more exposure than him, which again is not everybody, have a no, like not everybody will have all the information about a particular area, right? You
Right.
keep on. So uh, when having that conversation with him, just try to ask him, what do your parents have to say about when
Hmm.
you're doing this?
Yeah.
What kind of? So he said, Ankit, I will try to do this for 3 to 5 years.
Hmm.
If not, then eventually I have an IIM Ahmedabad degree with me,
Hmm.
which is a indication,
Hmm.
which is an indication that I had a lot of potential. I also had an offer letter from Flipkart,
Right.
right? And so if I ever have to go back,
Hmm.
I know there is a safety net available for me
Correct. Correct.
to go over there, right?
Ah. Ah.
Which is what. Secondly, uh, uh, I think what also happened that once you come from a good educational background,
Hmm.
which is again a privilege, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And again, when I'm saying privilege, I'm not discounting anybody's hard work or anybody's academic acumen, perhaps, or whatever they have put in to reach to a
Yes.
place. Definitely, that is there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe 10% luck, 90%, 90, 85% your hard work, but 5% may be your privileges also.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not discounting that.
Yeah.
Just to ensure so not to get anybody offended over there. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But and then also having a network of people around you who can feel that okay, you're doing this, let me support you, or perhaps you want to join back. I have a referral for my company. I will put in a word about your skills. I can vouch for you to my boss, and let me see if we can hire you. Maybe it's not a similar role where I am right now, but at a lower role, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Also, what happens a lot of time when you start taking risks
Hmm.
or courage,
Hmm.
you start learning a lot,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
knowledge does not go waste, right? Because you have achieved a certain amount of knowledge. Whenever you go, you talk to people, you are able to, uh, 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 share your perspectives. For certain people, you are still your knowledge is not good enough.
Hmm.
Whereas you have to get a higher, you have to have
Absolutely.
more knowledge to reach to a certain position or a designation or a company. But for
Correct.
certain organizations, you are good enough,
Yes.
right? They
Yeah.
will say that whatever you know will will help us to solve our problems.
Hmm.
Let's have you on board. So depends, like
Right. Right.
where it takes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
basically, courage comes from the fact that you should privileges, academic background,
Hmm.
uh, your
Your network,
your network, your frugality,
frugality.
your
Yes.
needs, your wants.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Great.
that's
That was a very deep insight. Thank you for sharing that, Ankit. Like, it will be really helpful. I mean, we need to understand ourselves in a much better way first, so that अकॉर्डिंगली वी कैन कार्व आउट द करियर, क्योंकि हमारी हमें खुद ही नहीं पता है हमें कहाँ जाना है और हम किस चीज क्या चीज हमें सेटिस्फेक्शन देती है. तो बिकॉज
yeah,
मोस्ट एज यू मेंशन लाइक नाउ डेज पीपल आर गोइंग आउट फॉर पैकेजेस, राइट? डे जीरो
yeah,
पे किसका प्लेसमेंट होता है, इवन द चाइल्ड और दैट द प्रोफेशनल माइट नॉट हैव अ interest into that, but still people are jumping because of the packages,
yeah,
and later on they get burnt out, and nowadays people are getting burnt out at the age of 24, 25, right?
yeah, yeah.
And they are frustrated, and then normally they take a different path they try to do,
I
but
mean,
not every.
so many
Huh.
CA couples I see right now becoming dancing influencers on Instagram.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
traveling influencers,
correct.
right? And
Yeah,
that is their second career. That is their second
yes,
career, just to add. So a lot of people
absolutely,
are also trying to figure out their second career. That what can be
correct.
my second career? What can be my next move?
Absolutely, absolutely. One thing you mentioned, like reading is something which has helped you, and I this is something which has helped me as well. I mean, a lot. Reading has helped me as well, and this is something which I recommend to my students also to do reading.
Yeah.
Uh, how it has helped you? Can you give some things or maybe some nuggets on that? Or
So
what are your favorite books? Some lights on that.
yeah. So I think what where I will start from the fact that one is that who if you want to read,
Yeah,
one thing is that you have to be curious as a start,
yeah, yeah.
and then you have to identify that what are the topics I'm curious about.
Hmm.
So, for example, as I mentioned that in my current role, I'm responsible for partnerships,
Yes,
right? So I had one book around me, which is like the
the challenger.
challenges thing, right?
Okay,
Which
okay.
basically talks about taking control of a customer conversation, how you
Hmm.
try to convert a customer. And I'm not able to read it fully. It's been almost 1 year back since I bought this.
Yeah, yeah.
It has been there in my bag throughout, but I'm not able to
Yes,
complete this book, right?
right.
Perhaps I just read the introductory part, but
Hmm.
there's a constant nudge that I want to read it. Read it,
Yes, yeah,
which is one, so you need to be curious, you need to understand, and you have to be dissatisfied here. I need to learn more about the topic.
yeah, yeah.
Now reading is one of the ways
Hmm.
you can absorb content through podcast. You can absorb, like one of the podcasts that I referred. uh, uh, so just to add that I mean, between youth for jobs and IT career, I also did a certification program from IIM Bangalore called
Yes,
young in YLP, young
young
leadership.
leadership. Yeah.
You're basically training young managers to uh, get the basic get certain basic skills right,
Yes,
and become a better manager. In your line of work, basically, right?
correct.
So, which is one. So now, when I went there, I also see a lot of environment playing around. A lot of people were working. They were reading a lot of books. There was a lot of discussion which was going around. So when you try to put yourself in an environment where a lot of learning is happening,
Yes,
you try to get you tend to start pushing yourself, coming try to come out of a comfort zone, and
yes,
started learning more skills or more knowledge.
yeah,
Now,
yeah,
skills or
yeah.
knowledge are two different things, but again, you have to put certain things in perspective. Like KSA, like we call it
Yeah,
knowledge, skills, and attitude, or
attitude.
attitude, or
Yeah.
attitude has been replaced with a better word. I'm not sure right now. Mindset, KSM,
Ha, ha, ha.
KSM, what people are calling it, right?
Right.
Right. So you have to continuously work on your KSM, knowledge, skills, and mindset. So I think one thing is that I always wanted to upgrade myself, and there's a fear why I want to do that. I don't want to
Mm.
become redundant.
Yeah, yeah.
I always say that perhaps if I want to serve people, I need to ensure that I have the right skills to serve people.
Yes.
Otherwise, I might be working in the space, but I might be doing a bad job.
Yeah.
Nobody will realize it, but the impact will not be there. What kind of impact I can create?
Yes.
So that's why the book has helped me, right,
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
So I read this book, The Specialist by David Epstein.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I'm not sure am I taking the pronouncing the name correct or the
Okay.
book name also correct or not.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Surviving the World of Specialists, I think that was the journalist was the name of the book. I'm not sure. We
Is
can
it the range?
the
Range?
range, the
Yeah.
range, the
Okay.
range.
Yeah. Yeah.
So especially anybody who is in their 20s or 30s,
Yeah.
I will recommend that book to that, right? Because it's
Okay.
a little advanced reading.
Hmm.
It will connect you to a lot of areas, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
then so it has helped me in that perspective, right? Then I have also read a lot of business books, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, uh, which is around self improvement. For example, sales is one thing that I am talking about. Then
Yes.
I read this book called The Start with Why.
Start with why. Simon Sinek.
Simon Sinek. So
Yeah.
amazing, amazing book. You're able to connect to the purpose, right? And
Yeah.
what happens, right? Reading a book won't change your life immediately.
Yes.
But what it will do, it will push your thinking
Yeah.
slowly, slowly, slowly. It
Yeah.
will push your thinking
Yeah.
gradually, and you will not realize it.
Hmm.
But eventually, when you're trying to answer a particular question, or you are trying to involve in any discussion,
Yes.
your certain thought process will change.
Correct.
Your
Correct.
your way of answering certain questions will change.
Hmm.
Your approach towards certain situations will also change.
Yes.
So it will happen eventually. It's not
Hmm.
like today you are at one book and tomorrow you are a different person altogether.
Right. Right. Right.
It's
Got
like
it.
continuous process. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what I feel.
Okay. Okay. That was nice. That was nice. And yes, the same thing I have also felt, that it gradually builds you and pushes you. It shows you a hazy picture, and your mind is constantly thinking about it at the back end. And when
Yeah,
the right time comes in, you just apply that, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, it
No, mind is
happens.
like our mind has a lot of potential. We
Yeah,
might not
yeah.
realize it.
Correct, correct, correct.
I think there is one book. Somebody somewhere I have heard from someone or somewhere that to train your subconscious mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You always train our conscious mind,
Correct, correct,
but
correct.
can we train our subconscious mind? So
Yeah.
I remember in one of the programs I attended or somewhere,
Mhm.
like normally if you put your thoughts
Yeah.
and observe carefully, you will realize that you are always taking a bath with your right hand and
Yeah, yeah.
holding the mug with your or
Correct.
applying to your body with your right hand.
Absolutely.
Can you put a conscious effort of doing with your left
From
hand?
left. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that is like just small hacks which shows
Yes.
that you are aware about your surroundings,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So and it won't happen in a day, but
Yeah. Gradually it
gradually
builds in.
it
Yeah.
will build.
Absolutely. Now, coming to social impact space, Ankit,
Yeah.
I would like to ask you, what are the challenges? Like, you in the starting of the conversation, you mentioned, like, even your career might look yeah, it is very well planned, but it was not so. And there are many times when we are working in a social impact space, we have to make our hands dirty, right? We
Yeah.
have to deep dive in the things. So my
Yeah.
question to you would be, specifically, if the student wants to get into a social impact space, what are the challenges people face in this field?
So challenges can be very personal in nature,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Reason being because again, a lot of privileges acts, in your challenges.
Yes.
Right? Somebody coming from an affluent family who
Hmm.
are based out of Delhi
Yeah.
have a lot of access to a lot of resources.
Yeah.
They might be able to survive, work in the social space
Hmm.
without necessarily the thought of drawing an income.
Yeah.
Someone coming from a small town, especially a male, they and a female also, but I'm talking about the Indian context, and that's what the
Right.
challenges which are very personal to me or what I have experienced. And I talk to a
Right.
lot of professionals in the industry, right?
Correct.
So, so one common thread that can be, when you are the breadwinner of your family and you join the social sector, you started realizing that there are a lot of things that you are not able to afford at any point in time
Yeah. Yeah.
because the pay structure is such
Hmm.
within the sector itself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So one is definitely around pay, right?
Okay.
Talking about pay parity,
Hmm.
which is a different thing, or forgetting, right? But one is definitely around uh, uh, challenges. So one is that one has to be conscious around, that if I'm trying to make an entry in the particular uh, 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 sector,
Right.
for let's say the not-for-profit sector, how do I ensure that I can also have an exit plan for
Right.
me?
Okay. Okay.
So so I will also always encourage that don't let your education go waste,
Hmm.
right? So for
Okay.
example, if you have done an engineering and you're trying to uh, get into a not-for-profit space, try to go for a program where your transferable skills are always used upon.
Okay. Okay.
So let's say somebody has an accountancy background,
Hmm.
join the social space.
Right.
I will say try to leverage your accountancy, keep your accountancy skills relevant
Yeah.
at all point in time.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because if you want to exit, you will have an exit option because you are still an accountant, just that you are working in a different sector.
Right.
Similarly, for people who have coding experience,
Hmm.
right? Somebody who is doing sales, how can they maneuver from here? Doctors joining social space, exiting, right? Or anyone for that matter. For example,
Yes.
consultants,
Right.
can they create have their consultancy ready? Like somebody you yourself has taken a break, from joining from a company, but you somewhere keep your skills relevant because you
Correct.
start taken up projects in your free time. And I will
Yeah.
request you to throw some light to the audience around that. But keeps your skill relevant. So, which is
Sure.
second thing that I will talk about. I will
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Uh, Third, what I will say that which is you are not committed. You might be committed to a cause for a particular point in time,
Okay.
but you are responsible for your own growth.
Yeah.
So always
Okay.
keep that in mind, right? You are the
Yes.
person who is trying to make an impact.
Hmm.
So try while you're trying to make an impact, don't lose yourself in the
Ah.
whole process. Focus on yourself. It might sound counterintuitive. A lot of my people say that Ankit, you are saying wrong.
Okay.
But I will say that controversially or however, that one needs to focus on themselves.
Yes.
Focus on your growth.
Yeah.
Let nobody tell you that oh, you are working for such an important cause that perhaps you might not need a deserve a better paycheck, or you don't
Ah.
need to upgrade yourself.
Hmm.
Don't anybody tell you that,
Yeah. Yeah.
because uh, uh, and also understand that the sector itself consists of a lot of toxic and non-toxic people.
Ah.
It's not like that everybody in the sector is are an angel. They are trying to solve a problem. They are trying to solve a problem. They are good at it, but
Yeah.
at the core, they might not be a very non-toxic person. Perhaps I'm not using a toxic word, but I'm saying they might not be a very non-toxic person,
Right.
right? So be aware.
Hmm.
Don't let yourself be manipulated for the fact that you're working for a cause, so we can't give you much.
Right. Right.
So whatever you do, know your worth, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
important to know your worth.
Yes.
If you're not feeling, if you're feeling that you're not at the right place, move away from that place, which is completely
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
feeling you're not able to survive in the not-for-profit space, go to a for-profit space.
Okay.
Uh,
Yes.
try it out, right? If you're joining it, join. And especially what I will always recommend. I will always recommend for people who want to join the social sector,
Hmm.
right? If you have a degree in place, try to learn, get into your degree or the industry where you have learned a lot of where you have in the similar space where you've done your education.
Yes.
Learn transferable skills from that,
Yeah.
and then when you join the social sector, keep don't lose the skill which I already mentioned,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
don't I always say that don't join it as young, like at least have 1 or 2 years of experience or 3 years of experience
Hmm. Hmm.
within the corporate or a for-profit sector or a startup world
Yeah.
before joining a not-for-profit space.
Okay.
I know a
Okay.
lot of people, right, who join BCG as a start, work for at BCG for 2 years,
Okay.
or any MBB or a big
Right.
four.
Yeah.
Then they move to the social space, and I'm
Okay.
telling you right now,
Hmm.
nobody will believe me, or they will say that Ankit, what you're saying is not right.
Huh?
But you will always be valued for your corporate experience.
Hmm. Hmm.
Only it may be for 2 years or 3 years.
Ha, ha, ha.
You will also realize that kind of thought process that you were able to build during that time
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
actually helping you to do your better work.
Yes.
Then moving to the sector after graduation.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because what will happen? Two things. It will give you an exit door.
Yeah.
Whenever you want to exit, you
Hmm.
can,
Hmm.
and there's nothing wrong. You have done good work in the space.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have created impact. Now
Yes.
you need to focus on yourself,
Hmm.
and you join the space because you want to focus on yourself, right? Please
Correct.
understand, you're not doing charity. Another thing,
Yeah.
I think I would like to add that you're not doing any charity while joining a social space.
Yes.
You're not doing any, any. You're not doing any sacrifice. You are
Yeah.
choosing to let go of few things because you want to work on a problem statement.
Yeah.
You want to experience a particular kind of a sector.
Correct.
So nobody is responsible for your growth
Hmm.
except you. So you
Accept you.
need to be the curator of your own journey, right? That is
Right.
one of the values which we are also taught at Teach for India,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
But you are responsible for your and very life lesson, right? That you are
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
it's your life.
Yeah.
You will always be responsible. You can't go back and let's say to Gandhi ji, hey Gandhi ji, why did you promote
Ha.
social space work, right?
Ha.
Or
Ha.
anybody else, right? Just to uh, 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 Gandhi just came
Yeah.
came just,
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
but you can't
Yeah.
go to anybody who is the let's say the best social worker in the country. You
Right.
can't go and say that hey, because of you I moved to this sector and now I'm not able to survive,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Or I am not happy. Then move it. Then so ensure that when you're entering into the space, you have skills
Yeah.
which will allow you to have an exit path. And
Okay.
always reevaluate your growth with after 1 or 2 years that where
Right.
you are right now, where you want to go, are you on the right path or not? So
Hmm.
which again is coming from the fact that do a lot of reflection activities,
Okay.
not just in the space but
Hmm.
otherwise in your personal life as well.
Personal life as well. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Try to evaluate that perhaps I at one point in time buying an iPhone was something which was aspirational. Now
Yeah.
today you use an iPhone, you have gone through that journey.
Hmm.
First today you don't need an iPhone. You will say that I
Correct.
am happy with a 20,000 rupees phone as well,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
20,000 phone as well.
Yeah.
So priorities will change in life, and which is
Correct.
okay,
Yeah.
right? So
Hmm.
think about it. So one is that in summarizing the long conversation,
Hmm.
have an Indian exit route,
Okay.
join this space with transferable skills,
Yes.
learn transferable skills.
Hmm.
Uh, uh,
And
don't feel that you are doing any charity.
yes, and personal growth is important.
Personal growth is really important.
Important. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, be wary of toxic and
Toxic
non-toxic
and non-toxic
in
people.
the
Yeah.
social space.
Yeah.
Uh, don't feel guilty when you are exiting any space or you are not able to work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's important to take breaks.
Hmm.
Take your weekends off.
Yeah.
A lot
Agree.
of, especially like teachers, right? For
Hmm.
example, just
Yeah.
to add, or people who are the frontline workers.
Yes.
We have the longest working hours. What I have seen.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Right? Saturday
Yeah.
they're working on Saturdays, they're working on Sundays, they're working
Yeah.
on Mondays.
Hmm.
They're working almost 7 days a week.
Hmm.
Don't do that.
Right.
Don't kill yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Ultimately, it is a job. It will
Yes.
always be
Yes.
a job.
Correct.
Yes,
Correct.
you are transforming lives, but it's very important to have boundaries.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what are the things that I will try to summarize
That's
for any
great.
sector?
That's great. That's great. I mean, this brings. I mean, this is the true reflection of how the people should look at, because these are the things which not normally people talk. Non-profit organizations, they look that yes, this is, we are creating the impact, but as you mentioned, be aware of the toxic and non-toxic people, which can impact you as well. Personal growth is important, skills are relevant. I was having a conversation with one of the HR professionals few days back, and she mentioned, and we'll be releasing that podcast as well, that she mentioned two things when it comes to I asked her that what is one trait she has found in all the successful leaders in the organization. She said two things. One is stay relevant, that is reskilling, and
Yeah,
second is mastery on one topic on which uh, you are known for, right?
yeah.
So these two things, and you also mentioned that. Great, thank you for sharing that, Ankit. One thing I would like to ask you, like, you have explored a lot, right? Maybe if you can give me three lessons, or maybe you have met with a lot of people from different spaces, you have gone to IIMs also, you are working with good startups also, you have seen founders and have a lot of experience, right, of meeting people. Maybe three lessons which you have learned and has impacted your life, or maybe three mentors who have guided you, and these things you really carry which can be helpful for the students.
Uh, so So I have, both okay, I'm happy that you asked this question, right?
Okay.
So one is that when you're putting anybody as a mentor,
Yeah.
right? You are putting anybody as a mentor, and you have the right to de-escalate them as a mentor as well. So
Right.
while you're promoting them as a mentor, you always have the right to say that perhaps what you're mentoring is not right, and you're
Yeah.
not right, and I'm de-escalating you,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Don't try to find a mentor within your workspace only,
Okay.
right?
Correct. Correct.
Try to look beyond as well.
Yes.
Network with a lot of people, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Especially on LinkedIn is one of the great criteria. Like I mean, a lot of people reach out to me that I
Yeah.
want to work in a consulting space in social impact sector. Mega, then why
Yeah.
you reaching out to me? Try to list down these 7 organizations, perhaps what
Right.
I know of,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So just to add, like I personally try to reply to a lot of people on LinkedIn whenever they
Yeah.
reach out.
Great.
But I also try to reach out to a lot of people on LinkedIn,
Okay.
right?
Nice.
So never hesitate in reaching out. Be very clear with your purpose.
Hmm.
Uh, be comfortable with the no
Hmm.
in any of the space,
Hmm.
right? In your personal life as well, right?
Yeah.
So let's say when you're going to say that I'm looking for an appraisal, or uh, uh, I am looking for a job change, or I am looking for a course or whatever. It can be anything in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be be comfortable in listening a no,
Yeah.
but never be comfortable in accepting a no.
Yeah.
Try to
Okay.
identify that what are the alternatives then,
Yeah.
right? So I will say that be decent. I think this is what a book called, right? Stay hungry, stay foolish,
Yes.
right? Uh, so the idea about I'm trying to say that always be dissatisfied.
Okay.
Uh, Very counterintuitive what
Yeah.
people say, but I will say that be dissatisfied. Have the hunger to do.
Okay.
Understand what you do. Also acknowledge that what you have done is good enough.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, uh, don't let anybody tell you that you are not good enough. So
Okay.
have confidence in your skills. Yeah, and also especially also just want like to add that a lot of respect goes to people who are uh, entrepreneurs, especially in the social impact space.
Yes.
If you have founded an organization and you have the right heart, you have the right skills, you are able to build the right team. People
Hmm.
will have a lot of respect for entrepreneurs, but I'm not sure is that the same case for entrepreneurs also. So
Hmm.
basically, if you're
Yeah.
joining an organization,
Hmm.
please be cognizant of the fact that you might not be able to get the same kind of recognition, but anybody will get if they are the entrepreneur, if they have started their own initiative,
Yes.
right? So think about that as well when you're making any career choices in the longer run. Do you want to start your own organization, or do you want to join a leadership team of any organization, right? You have to get your feet dirty, no doubt about that, right? But I'm not sure. I think I have spoken more than uh, 3 points.
Okay. That's great. That's great. So we are almost coming to the end of the podcast, Ankit. And but before we sign off, like two questions. First thing is, what keeps you motivated and helps you to keep on driving the things with such a vigor which you do? That is the first question. And second thing is, what would be the takeaways you would like the students who are planning out to get into a social sector space, maybe, or the parents who are confused whether they should get into this or not? What final message from your end?
So, what motivates me, to be honest, is a sheer scale, that I am able to reach. Also, at the
Okay.
time, the kind of life transformation that we are able to do.
Hmm.
Right. I mean, this particular year itself, we have worked with around 40,000 students,
That's great. Yeah.
and I can say that 80% of the partnerships was facilitated through the discussion which I had with a lot of people.
Okay. Nice.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that uh, which is at a skill level. But when you go at an individual level, this particular year we have facilitated scholarships worth 4 CR,
Oh, that's
which has
nice.
impacted lives of students, or at least of 16 females,
Okay.
right? So that's a kind of deep-rooted impact that we are able to do, uh, reducing barriers of access to quality education, basically, right?
Yeah.
Which is one thing that keeps me motivated.
Hmm.
Also, the fact that when you meet a lot of people,
Hmm.
you learn a lot, right?
Yes.
Find a lot of talent. also get a chance to challenge your own thinking or point of view,
Yes.
right? So which is another area which keep me motivated,
Hmm.
and obviously personal growth,
Yeah.
that am I growing or not.
Okay.
So if I'm not growing, perhaps this is the most dissatisfied that I feel in
Hmm.
any of my workplace. So I want to grow.
Hmm.
I have that hunger. I don't want to. I don't mind going the extra yard. In
Okay.
fact, I'm happy to walk the extra yard
Okay.
to ensure that a growth is there for me.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, because if I am not growing,
Hmm.
I personally feel, then
Yeah.
how will I make the organization grow? Basically,
Right.
when growth in terms of your KSM, again, knowledge, skill, mindset, and obviously it will
Yes.
definitely it should be translated to your designation, to your area of responsibility, to the kind of work that you are doing.
Yes.
There are people who are their 1 hour their 1 hour of meeting can transform a complete company strategy.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
value that they are able to put.
Correct.
So definitely my vision is to reach there, right? How can my 1 hour of time can be as important,
Yeah.
where I can create a lot of value, and it won't come like that you
Yeah.
become a
Yeah.
CEO and today you have that power. No, I
No.
mean that's comes with a lot of again working on your KSM and then reaching there.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of goal that I have set for myself. And
Okay.
that's what I want to reach. And
Okay.
I feel that I'm on the right path, so I keep on working hard and
Okay.
discussing a lot of areas. And
Yeah.
I think also with the fact that you have to be karmat at some point in time.
Yes.
So true to the cause, true to your work, respect your work, and sure
Hmm.
also acknowledging the fact that it is putting bread and butter on your plate regularly.
Yes.
So being grateful for that,
Hmm.
uh, right? It is your work is giving you a lot of recognition. Your work, even if not recognition, right? We try to be grateful, because
Yes.
the day you feel that you're not grateful for your job,
Hmm.
that's the day you will feel a lot demotivated, perhaps, right? But again, don't let anybody tell you that you are worthless, right? So have a lot of balance, right? So my motivation factor has been that.
Okay.
What the advice, especially to anybody, parents or teachers or students who want to get into the particular sector. One is that work on your skills. Understand that don't, again, very counterintuitive to the book, the David Epstein book, right?
The
Uh,
range.
the
Yeah.
range,
Range.
right? So while you are doing a lot of exploration, try to build mastery in
Hmm.
one. I
Hmm.
mean, he always gives an example of one of the examples that he quoted in his book was about Roger Federer.
Ah.
That Roger Federer started playing tennis after he tried a lot of sports.
Hmm.
And he realized that he's good at tennis, and then he started picking up that game. But the idea that he realized that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So while you are, especially in college, right, you have a lot of areas to explore. And today's time, there's a lot of network available,
Yes.
networking platforms available. LinkedIn is there, Internshala is there,
Hmm.
right? Uh, so, for example, these are just two platforms. There are other platforms.
Right.
Angel Network is there. You can always and go to a startup founder. There are a lot of budding startup founders are there, to be honest, right now,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they have great ideas. They have a lot to teach you. The bad thing is that and the good thing for you and the bad thing for the startup founder is that they don't have the money right now to hire a full time resource.
Yes.
So they would love to hire somebody who can do some work done.
Hmm.
They can come at a cheaper cost,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they are ready to give you the exposure, right? So you
Yeah.
can leverage that during your college days. But in order to leverage that, you need to have skills.
Hmm. Hmm.
So work on your skills,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
First year of college, work amazingly on your skills, right?
Okay.
After class 12, go to your learn a lot of skills.
Hmm.
Uh, Especially, for example, people who want to join the social space, right?
Hmm.
Understand communication, understand policy, right?
Hmm.
Attend a lot of boot camps which exist in policy.
Okay.
Read a lot,
Hmm.
especially around what is happening in the social space.
Hmm.
Identify a cause which you are passionate about. Most the low hanging fruit, perhaps what I will say, is education, because everybody is affected about with education in their personal lives. The
Yes.
most advanced ones, perhaps I will say, um, is on the lines of policy formation, or deep diving and understanding, for example, how licensing work between different national organizations, right? Where
Right.
which will it take to create a larger impact, perhaps, an international level of impact, right? Which it
Yes.
start from policy to implementation among so many things, right?
Hmm.
So there you might need to require an advanced degree in humanities or development studies or a master in business administration, perhaps. Or
Hmm.
there are so many advanced degrees which exist, right? Or a PhD also for that matter, right? If you're passionate about agriculture, try to look for farmer produce organizations or agri-tech organizations which exist in the country. Good part is, I mean, back in 2010 and 14, I have not heard of any agri-tech organization. But
Hmm.
now agri-tech is a buzzword, right? And it
Yes.
gives you a lot of exposure around the
Hmm.
fact. So try to do a lot of internships in a similar space. Education is the most low-hanging fruit, but if you have a little more exposure, try to reach out to people, right? Try to understand that, hey, I want to make a career in the social space. Can I get a 1 hour of time? And be humble in while asking that.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
I have seen a lot of challenge press I have seen among students, which has been on the mindset,
Yeah.
right? You are not entitled to anything, but at the same time, if you ask nicely, if you ask in the correct manner, a lot of people are more than happy to share their knowledge with them. But they are,
Absolutely.
and in all the space, they want to share knowledge,
Yes. Yes.
right? That's human nature, perhaps what I feel that everybody want to share their knowledge.
Yeah.
Right? So think about that. Read a lot. Uh, it will help. It will help. Like during college days, I try to read a lot, but I remember reading the trilogy around which Devnath Patnaik has
Yeah.
written.
Yeah. Yeah. The trilogy.
The
Yeah. On
trilogy,
Shiva. Yeah. Yeah.
Lord Shiva. Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I started reading that, and I was simply blown away with the kind of visualization which I can see,
Hmm.
with things are happening. Right.
Yes.
So reading will help you, to visualize.
Yes.
Okay. So that's one of the powerful tools. So
Okay.
somebody and explore. So anybody who wants to get into the social space, first explore during your college days.
Hmm.
Understand it. You will require to get your skills correct and
Yes.
relevant. Understand that what can be your entry and exit path.
Okay.
Be confident about your skills.
Hmm.
Gain that confidence.
Hmm.
Work on yourself throughout and
Hmm.
understand that what will it take you to grow personally. Do a lot of reflection activity. Have a vision board among other things.
Okay.
Try to find the right mentors.
Hmm.
If a mentorship is not working on not giving you the desired results, it's
Hmm.
okay to walk away, but in a polite manner
Yes.
because the other person has invested some time,
Correct. Correct. Correct.
right? And yeah, that is it.
Great. 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 Thank you very much, Ankit. Wonderful conversation. Lot of nuggets specifically related to the social sector, and your own journey has a lot to say. I mean, the way you chose, how you have chosen, why you chose education sector. There might have been a poverty can be one thing, agriculture would have been one thing, right? But you chose education, so there is a story which is there, and the problem which you find that relates to you. Then you also shared about what are the challenges in this area. Don't go or select a social sector for a wrong reasons. You talked
Yeah.
about that as well. Yeah. Very important part which I felt that when you talked about the transferable skills, that is the key, and having an exit plan is also very important. You talked about like what gives you satisfaction. Like for you it is the impact which you are creating, your work is creating. That is something which makes you motivated every day, makes you work hard, right? So a lot of things. I mean, someone who would be listening till now, definitely they would have got a lot of clarity. uh, at the same time, you shared all your journey and experiences at different places and what were your learnings out of that. So thank you for doing that. And really pleasure talking to you, Ankit. So yeah, so thank you very much for your time and bringing your experience of past 10-15 years into this space. Really, this is going to help all the students. If suppose somebody watching and wants to reach out to you, where they can reach out to you?
I mean, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I am pretty much available, right? My LinkedIn ID, I think Sam will request you to maybe display the LinkedIn ID as one of the pages.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Uh, so reach out to me on LinkedIn. I think that's the best manner. I don't want to you reach out to me on phone directly because I get a lot of calls and my primarily work involves doing a lot of calls. So there's a lot of
Absolutely.
chance
Yeah.
that the call will be missed and I might not be able to answer.
Correct.
Yeah. So LinkedIn is the best platform to reach out.
Okay. So thank you, Ankit. So I will definitely link Ankit's LinkedIn profile in the description of the YouTube, so you can reach out to him there as well. So here's the end. Thank you very much, Ankit, for your time, and thank you to all the audience who have been watching till now. It's almost more than an hour we have been having conversation. What questions you would like me to ask in my upcoming guest? If you please type that down, so that in the next upcoming sessions I would try to inculcate those questions. At the same time, if you like this podcast, please give us a thumbs up. So that is something. So thank you very much. Thanks, Ankit, for joining us, and thank you to all the audience as well.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Samred. An amazing initiative. Wish you all the best for this.
Thank you. Thank you.